Hello, guys. Welcome to my 23rd episode of Football Heaven 24/7. Today's date, I believe, is the 7th of June. Um, Basically, we're going to do another review of another season from seasons gone by in the Premier League. And we'll cover the other leagues as well briefly. But before I do that, I forgot to mention in episode 22 to sort of give a bit of respect to a team I don't really want to give respect to, but Grimsby Town uh, beat Solihull Moors in the conference final. They did it in spectacular fashion, having to beat both Notts County and in the semi final and Wrexham. They had to beat them both in extra time when it looked like they were going to lose both games. They won 2-1 after extra time at Notts County, and they won 5-4 after extra time against Wrexham, which meant that they ended up going through against to play Solihull Moors. Now, Solihull Moors had beaten Chesterfield 3-1 in their game, having finished third in the league, just behind Wrexham, who, as I just previously said, were beaten by Grimsby to get to the final. Now, Grimsby, they played a lot of extra minutes compared to Solihull, and going into the game, the final was played at the West Ham Stadium, London Stadium, um, and they went 1-0 behind in normal time in the final, and looked for quite a while like they weren't going to get anything out of it, but they rode their luck a bit and they got an equaliser in the second half. I believe there was 20 odd thousand Grimsby fans that turned up for it, and about 4,000, 5,000 Solihull fans. Um, but Grimsby, again, they fluked it in extra time. They won 2-1 and they got through. But gotta give them respect, even though I've got connections to Scunthorpe as my second team. Um, Scunthorpe and Forest have always been my team since I was a kid, um, and they got through. But fair play to them. They're going to be playing in League Two after being out for a couple of seasons from being in League Two. They go back up now. Um, Congratulations to them. Since I've last been on previous episodes, Liverpool lost the Champions League semi-final 1-0 to Real Madrid. They didn't really show up in the game. They sort of like had a good spell in the first half, but didn't manage to capitalise on it. Thibaut Courtois, the goalkeeper for Real Madrid, did fantastic. He got man of the match because he pulled off some great saves. So Liverpool gave it some, but they just never. I don't know. In my mind, they never really looked like they were going to score because it just seemed like it was going to be Real Madrid's night. But anyway, yeah, that happened. Since I've been on, also last been on, as I said it in the previous episode, England lost 1-0 in their one of their games in the Nations League. They're playing Germany tonight. Obviously, over in Germany, that's going to be a massive, massive game. Now, over the last 5 games, England's won 2 of them, Germany's won 2, and they've drawn 1. So it's a very even contest. You're looking at two teams that are pretty much on the same level right now. Although England did beat them 2-0 in the last competitive game, obviously at the Euros in the second round, which was a fantastic day and a great game. But we'll see what happens. England need to win it to have a chance of finishing top of the group. If they don't win it, draw or lose, they're not going to finish top. Um, so basically, England have still got to play Germany and Italy, and then I think they've got to play the reverse games as well. So it's going to be interesting to see whether that they can get through. My prediction tonight, I'm going to sit on the fence a bit, but I'm going to say 2-2, a 2-all draw. I think England will give it a good go, but I think Germany's players are just as good. Germany's got the home advantage, so we'll see what happens. But I'll say 2-2 in that game. Um, there's been a few things that have happened in the week, different things that have been going on. Aston Villa have signed 2 new players. Um, Boubacar Camara from Marseille in the midfield, he's come in, and another quality signing who's coming from Seville to the Aston Villa ranks, Diego Carlos, who was wanted, I believe, by Arsenal and Manchester United at one point last season. He's coming from Seville after Seville had quite a decent season. So that's some of the notable things that have happened in the last week or so in football. As I say, congratulations to Grimsby for getting up into League Two. Um, Pains me to say it, but there we go. They got up there. And we're going to do a review now on the 95-96 season. The previous episode that I've just put out not too long back, that was focusing on the 94-95 season. But yeah, as I said in the previous episode, we talked about Blackburn Rovers winning in the 94-95 season. Now, going into the next season, you would think that Blackburn Rovers would be one of the favourites to win the title, and they were. It didn't quite pan out for them like that over the season, but we'll focus on it. Like I say, last season in the 94-95 season, it was Blackburn Rovers winning by 1 point over Manchester United. Now, as I said before, the previous two Premier League campaigns before that, 92-93 and 93-94, Manchester United had won the title. But then, like I say, 94-95, Blackburn narrowly just took them over. Believe it or not, under the guidance of former Liverpool great and Liverpool good manager as well, Kenny Dalglish had won Blackburn Rovers that title now. Obviously, Manchester United was seething after that. You know, after having given up their league crown to Blackburn the previous season, you know, many experts was obviously predicting a powerful response from Manchester United, but they didn't. They didn't bring in any new players. They actually got rid of a trio of the old guard. They got rid of Mark Hughes, Paul Ince, and Andrei Kanchelskis. And those three players left and went to different clubs. Paul Ince notably went to rivals Liverpool. Andrei Kanchelskis also went to sort of a rival, Everton, who had obviously just won the FA Cup in the 94-95 season. Now, looking at it all, like I say, you would think Blackburn would be in with a shout, but as it panned out over the season, some crucial things happened. Now, another crucial transfer that happened at the start of this season was Andy Cole. There was a lot of speculation in the summer. There was speculation about Alan Shearer, but nothing materialised from that situation. There was a lot of speculation, though. But nothing happened there. But Andy Cole, who had been scoring a lot of goals the previous two seasons for Newcastle, was now a Manchester United player, and that would prove pivotal for Manchester United in the 95-96 season. Now, going into the games, there was a lot of crucial games. Now, like I say, Arsenal had a bad season last season, in the 94-95 season. They finished 12th, but there was to be an improved effort this season. Anyway, you go through the season and we're looking at it, and Manchester United would end up being the champions. Now, it was famous because towards the end of the season, Newcastle were in the lead for most of the season. Newcastle at one point was 15 points clear at the top of the Premier League table in the 95-96 season. They had some great players, David Ginola, Ferdinand, Peter Beardsley, the list goes on. There was some great players. Asprilla, even Keith Gillespie had gone the other way, and he was a left winger that had gone from Manchester United to Newcastle as part of the deal of Andy Cole going to Manchester United. Now, Manchester United did an absolutely fantastic season. There were some crucial wins over rival teams that were chasing them. They played against Newcastle around Christmas time. In fact, a couple of days after Christmas, on December the 27th, and Manchester United won that crucial game 2-0 against Newcastle, although Newcastle was still ahead of them at that point in the season. Most notably, Manchester United pulled up some other good victories, beating Arsenal 1-0 at home, beating Blackburn 1-0 at home, beating Everton 2-0, although they did draw with Liverpool 2-2. And the reason that was, and on that actual crucial game, that Manchester United game, that 2-2 against Liverpool, Cantona, I didn't mention it in the 94-95 season, it was actually a crucial thing. Cantona missed a lot of the 94-95 season, which obviously hindered them winning the title. Such a pivotal player for them. He had an altercation in a league game against Crystal Palace, where he did what can only be described as a karate kick into the crowd. Took out a Crystal Palace fan who was apparently being insulting about his sister or his wife or mother or something bad like that. And he kicked out at this fan. He got a ban. He got community service, which obviously hindered Manchester United that season and allowed Blackburn to have that advantage towards the end. But he was back, and he came back on that game, that crucial game for Manchester United, which was on the 1st of October. It finished 2-2. Liverpool had taken the lead twice in that game, but Manchester United had drawn level in that game to make it 2-2 with a penalty from, believe it or not, Cantona. So he did cause the drama. So that was a crucial game for United. They had some other great games at home in that season. Like I say, they beat Newcastle 2-0 at home. They also absolutely smashed Forest 5-0. Not very cool, but they smashed them. And they beat a number of other teams. Southampton easily 4-1 at home. Wimbledon 3-1 at home. So Manchester United were pretty much dominant at home. In fact, they lost no games all season at home. They won 15 and drew 4 and lost none all season. They were the only team in the Premier League not to lose any games at home that season. But as I say, as the season was unfolding, Newcastle were taking the lead. Were in the lead for a long time in the season. They were 15 points clear, as I say, at one point, and it looked like they were going to run away with it. Now, Newcastle, that would have been the first title they'd won, I believe, in something crazy like 70 odd years, maybe more than that. Now, or maybe the first title even ever. Kevin Keegan was in charge. Kevin Keegan had done a fantastic job over the last couple of seasons, seeing Newcastle finish 3rd and 6th in the previous 2 campaigns. But he was to drive them really, really close. Now, coming in towards the end of the season, there was a situation where Kevin Keegan got very stressed out with a couple of games to go. Alex Ferguson did some wonderful mind games, suggesting that teams like Leeds United, for example, that Newcastle had to play, would not try as hard as they would against Manchester United, because obviously Manchester United had won 2 titles out of the last 3 Premier League campaigns, and they became the team that everybody apart from Man United fans loved to hate. So anyway, so he was suggesting that Kevin Keegan rose to it in a way. He had a big rant on Sky Sports, saying that he was very upset and pretty much about Alex Ferguson's comments, that he thought that some teams wouldn't try as hard against Newcastle as they would against Manchester United. And his famous line saying, I would love it if we beat them. But unfortunately for him, Newcastle didn't. Newcastle scuppered in a couple of games. They were in the lead, I believe, I think they were 2-1 up or 3-1 up away at Liverpool at Anfield, and they ended up losing the game 4-3. So that was drop points. They also lost at home to Manchester United, crucially, thanks to a goal from Eric Cantona, obviously coming back from that long-term ban from last season. He scored a crucial goal. That's where they dropped points as well. And they also, more crucially, dropped 2 more points away at Nottingham Forest when they drew 1-1 in that game. A goal from, I believe it was Peter Beardsley, and early on for Newcastle. But then, unfortunately for them, Ian Woan scored an absolute cracker from 25 yards out, as Ian Woan normally did back then. And that made them lose a few points. Now, Manchester United caught up on that points difference, and going into the last game of the season, Manchester United were away at Middlesbrough, and Newcastle were playing at home. Now, they were playing at home to, I believe it was Tottenham, if I look at it right, Tottenham, and they drew 1-1 in the end. But it didn't really matter. It was irrelevant what they did in that game, because Manchester United ended up winning convincingly away from home 3-0 at Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough, they finished the season pretty well. You know, they were in a decent position. They brought in some great players. They brought in some good players anyway, and they stayed up quite convincingly. As I say, Manchester United won the title, and they finished 4 points in the end ahead of Newcastle. Manchester United finished with 82 points. Newcastle United finished with 78 points. Liverpool moved up 1 place from the previous season after finishing 4th in the 94-95 campaign. They finished 3rd. And Aston Villa, after having a bad campaign on the 94-95 season, finishing 18th, they went up to 4th. And that was mainly down to the goal-scoring partnership of Dwight Yorke and Savo Milosevic. who between them they'd scored 40 odd goals. So it was fantastic comeback from Aston Villa. You wouldn't see it much today. A team finishing 18th one season. Well, 18th now would be like a relegation if you finished 18th now because there's only 20 teams. But back, like I say, in the 94-95 campaign, there was 22 teams, so they finished just above the relegation zone. So for them to do that and then finish fourth the next season, it showed how much progress Aston Villa had made. So fair play to Aston Villa that season. They'd done great. And that was under the management of, I believe, Brian Little, who was a crucial player for Aston Villa in their European Cup winning campaign, which I believe was in 1982 when they beat Bayern Munich 1-0. Anyway, so they had a great season, Villa. Arsenal had a much improved season from the 94-95 campaign. They finished fifth after finishing 12th the season before, excuse me. Everton built on a bad season last season, but they built momentum after winning their first domestic trophy in 10 years. After winning the FA Cup in the 94-95 season, they finished sixth. Blackburn Rovers had a fall from grace. They didn't do well in the Champions League, what's now known as the Champions League, but was the European Cup back in the 95-96 season. They finished seventh. I suspect there was a few arguing and a few egos going on. There was a fight between Lassoa and David Batty in one of the European Cup games. I suspect there was some restlessness in the ranks, some frustration at the fact that they weren't performing to the high level that they were performing to last season. Ultimately, Alex Ferguson was shown for the tactical genius that he was. He was also the master of mind games. He got the better of Kevin Keegan, the Newcastle manager, and Newcastle did crumble away in the end. Although, when you look at Newcastle's rise in the early 90s, to finish third, I think it was third, fourth, and sixth, and then come into this season and finish second, Keegan had done a fantastic job, and there was better yet to come for Newcastle in the next season after this one. So they finished second. Alan Shearer, yet again, was a top goal scorer in the Premier League. He finished with 31 goals, having finished with 34 the previous season. John Aldridge, yet again, in Division 1, was the top goal scorer with Tranmere Rovers. And Tranmere Rovers, they finished just around mid-table, and they had a goal scorer and he scored 27 goals for them. Marcus Stewart, in Division 2, which would now be League 1, he scored... he was a top goal scorer for Bristol Rovers. And then in the bottom division, which was Division 3 at those days, in Division 2, you had Gavin Martindale for Notts County. He's got 21 goals in Division 2. And in the bottom league was, I think it was Andrew Saville, who was played for Cardiff City, and he got 29 goals. Going through the leagues, Sunderland and Derby were promoted into the Premier League. And in the playoffs, Leicester City were promoted in the playoff final. Going into the other divisions, Swindon and Oxford were promoted, and also looking into the playoffs in that division, Division 2, Plymouth Argyle went up as well. So that was them in there. And then you're going into, not Plymouth Argyle, I think it was, Blackpool even. And then going into Division 3, you had Preston and Gillingham went up, and Bury, and in the playoffs, Plymouth went up in the Division 3 playoff final. So those teams were to go up. Unfortunately, it would be unheard of today in today's league, coming up to the 22-23 season. But Manchester City were relegated in the 95-96 season from the Premier League, with QPR and Bolton Wanderers. Forest finished in ninth, having finished in third the previous season. Brian Rowe was still playing for them. Stan Collymore had gone on to play for Liverpool, whose goals, along with Robbie Fowler, helped obviously Liverpool to move up one place and finish third. Collymore had a great season. I believe he finished with 20 odd goals. So did Robbie Fowler, but those guys were overshadowed by a goal scoring genius in Alan Shearer, who, as I said previously, yet again dominated the goal scoring charts in the Premier League. So yeah, great seasons for them. As I say, Manchester United won the league. Newcastle was second, Liverpool third, Villa fourth, Arsenal fifth, Everton sixth, Blackburn Rovers in seventh, Tottenham in eighth, Forest ninth, West Ham United in 10th, Chelsea were in 11th, Middlesbrough 12th, Leeds United 13th, Wimbledon 14th, Sheffield Wednesday 15th, 16th place Coventry City, Southampton just stayed up on goal difference over Manchester City. They finished with 38 points. And then, as I said, in 18th, 19th, and 20th were Manchester City, QPR, and Bolton, respectfully or disrespectfully, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, so like I say, Sunderland and Derby are going to be playing the Premier League that the next season, which would be the 96-97 campaign, along with Leicester City under the guidance of former Forest player Martin O'Neill and his assistant John Robertson, who was also a former European Cup winning team for Nottingham Forest. Now, that's my basic review of the 95-96 season. I've kept it pretty quick. Although to say, in the Premier League team of the season, David James finished as the top goalkeeper that season. In defence, the top players were Gary Neville of Manchester United, Tony Adams of Arsenal, Ugo Ehiogu and Alan Wright of the much improved Aston Villa team that finished fourth, having finished 18th the previous season. Steve Stone had a great season, which ended up in a call-up for Euro 96. He was a right winger and he played for Forest. So Steve Stone was in there. Rob Lee had a great season, as did David Ginola. They were both in the team of the season at midfield for Newcastle United, who finished second. Ruud Gullit, an export from who used to play for AC Milan in those great European Cup teams of the late 80s, early 90s for AC Milan, along with Rijkaard and Van Basten. He was now playing for Chelsea in his first season, and he finished in the team of the season, even though Chelsea only finished 11th, so he had a great season. Alan Shearer, no doubt, because he was the top goal scorer, finishing with 31 goals. He finished in the team of the season up front. Also with a player that had a fantastic season for Newcastle, who finished second, Les Ferdinand, and he had 25 goals, and he had a great season. Also, other great players that season. Robbie Fowler for Liverpool, he finished with 28 goals. And two players that finished... Dwight Yorke had a great season coming through at Aston Villa, scoring 17 goals to help them to finish in fourth place. Andrei Kanchelskis, as I said at the start, he had been transferred from Manchester United to Everton, and he had a great season. He finished Everton's top goal scorer with 16 goals. Teddy Sheringham, yet again, had a great season after having a great season the season before, the last few seasons in the Premier League. He finished equal fifth with 16 goals as well. So it was a great season. The biggest win of the season was Blackburn Rovers absolutely smashing Forest, unfortunately. I'm going to cry 7-0. The biggest transfer of that season was Stan Collymore going from Nottingham Forest to Liverpool for 8.4 million. The longest winning run was by Manchester United, who won 6 games on the bounce. The longest winless run was by 14 games. Both Coventry and Wimbledon went 14 games without winning. The longest losing run was Manchester City and Middlesbrough, who both lost 8 games on the bounce at one point in the season. The highest attendance for that season was Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest, and that was 53,926. And the lowest attendance for that season was at Wimbledon versus Sheffield Wednesday, and that was 6,352 in that game. For the whole season as a total, looking at all the different ways that games were won, there was 186 home wins throughout the season. There was 96 away wins and 98 draws. So that's a bit more of a comprehensive statistic there for all you football nerds out there. The PFA Young Player of the Year was Robbie Fowler. The goal of the season, as voted by the viewers of Match of the Day, was the goal that Tony Yeboah scored, which was a cracker from 25 yards out away at Wimbledon, and it ricocheted off the underside of the crossbar and smashed into the back of the net. That was on the 23rd of September 1995. So he got the goal of the season, and the player of the year, obviously voted by all the other players in the Premier League, was Les Ferdinand. And Les Ferdinand that season, his headers were just fantastic, and some of his goals were out of this world. Very surprising that Shearer didn't finish with it, but Ferdinand had a fantastic season. So, as I say, a great season, 95-96. Manchester United regained their title. That's 3 titles for them in the last, 4 Premier League campaigns so far. Next episode, it will be reviewing the 96-97 season, and there was to be a few interesting things that would happen that season. So continue to stay tuned to this, to Football Heaven 24/7. You can find me under Footy 80 on my YouTube channel name. I'm grateful to everybody's support, like and subscribing. I know people have got very busy lives, but as I say, I'm going to continue this content even continent, and just have a great time. And as I say, I thank you all for getting behind me, and all the best. Have a great week. Bye. This has been Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host, Jamie Carter. This was episode 23. All the best, bye.